Chapter 2: The Hidden Truth About What Motivates the Dental Consumer. Sure, you understand their teeth, but do you understand their minds? Before you build your marketing plan, you have to know whom you're targeting. It's the foundation of any successful marketing. You need to understand how your audience thinks, what they respond to, and what motivates them to pick up the phone and make an appointment. It may not be what you think. Dental practitioners understand dentistry, but they don't always understand the dental consumer. It's hard for dentists to step outside their own expertise and see how the practice looks to regular people who need dental care. They've dedicated years to the profession, and every year they accumulate more specialized knowledge about the latest techniques and newest technologies in dentistry. But they don't know how ordinary consumers see them, their profession, and their practice. For example, there is a major gender gap between dentists and dental decision makers. Currently, about 75 to 80% of American dentists are male, while about 89% of all dental appointments are made by women. However, even among female dentists, there is a stronger familiarity with dental science than there is in the general public, making it hard for dentists to understand the uncertainties and lack of knowledge that patients experience when the dentist has the expertise. Understanding the mind of the average dental consumer is a critical first step in developing a successful marketing plan. If you don't know what they want, how do you know what messages to use when you advertise? How can you speak their language and convince them that you have what it takes to deliver excellent service and care? This chapter will reveal the surprising truths about what motivates ordinary people to choose one dentist over another, and show you how you can use this information to gain a distinct competitive advantage. What's so great about you? A key factor in the development of any advertising piece is to differentiate your practice from other practices. Perhaps one of the most challenging questions for a dental practitioner to answer is, what makes your practice different from other practices? At our advertising agency, New Patients Incorporated, we have asked hundreds of dental practitioners this very question, and we have discovered that it's one of the most challenging questions we can ask. The most common response to this question is, in our practice, we really care about our patients. But this presumes that other dentists don't really care, or don't care as much. Ask yourself, what does caring about your patients really mean? And is it realistic to expect your prospective patients to interpret this vague statement and truly buy into it? And how great can you say you are anyway? What further complicates the differentiation question is that most state dental boards have advertising restrictions that prohibit claims of superiority. Some make you state in your advertising that any services you are advertising are performed by a general dentist. Certainly, you cannot simply state in your advertising that you are a better dentist or offer better dentistry than any specific practice, or even as compared to other practices or corporate dentistry. So how do you effectively differentiate yourself from other dental practices? Understand the dental consumer's expectations. The key to differentiation is not to compare yourself to other dental practices at all. And the success of this strategy is based on some rather surprising realities in the way dental consumers form their expectations of dental services. The way they evaluate your dental practice is based on past experience coupled with a very limited amount of information about emerging dental procedures. They don't have that insider knowledge about the different dental practices that you compete with in your community. They don't see the nuances. They don't appreciate the subtleties. They don't come anywhere near your level of understanding. Trying to differentiate yourself from other dental practices might be a great way to market your superiority to other dentists, but it's not going to resonate with your target market, ordinary people. In fact, it's not going to mean a thing to them. However, there is a clear answer to the differentiation question, and one that can prove very effective. You don't state how you are different from doctor competitor across the street. Rather, you state how you are different from what the consumer expects most dentists to offer. Once you understand the expectation the patient is bringing to the dental selection decision, you need to exceed that expectation. Never underestimate the consumer's ignorance, because the vast majority of dental advertising is just not effective. Most people in the general public have no idea how to articulate or to identify what a good dentist is. Many fall into the trap of thinking that the dentistry they will receive at any practice they visit is virtually identical. Dental care for them has become nothing more than a commodity, a service with no qualitative difference, no matter who offers it. For those who hold this belief, the choice of a dentist is a matter of price, location, and the general personality of the dentist. Most will simply choose the most geographically convenient dentist that participates in their insurance plan. This is not to say they believe all dentists are the same. They know better than that. But it does mean they really don't have the ability to effectively define what a good dentist is. Answer the question they really want to ask you. Put yourself in the mind of the prospective patient. Maybe they've just recently moved, or they aren't satisfied with the quality of the relationship they have with their current dentist. Maybe they've just broken a tooth. They call your practice and ask, "Are you a good dentist?" Well, not exactly. That's the question they would like to ask, but they know that is the one that they can't reasonably ask, and one that can only be answered in the affirmative. So they have to ask another question, one that's more acceptable, more objective, and which they believe will allow them to evaluate your practice. And if you're in any proximity to the front desk when patients ask these kind of questions, you'll probably guess the most popular one. How much does insert dental procedure here cost? Of course, dentists usually train their staffs very well to answer that question with, "It depends, why don't you come in and we can examine you?" That's the quote-unquote right way to handle these calls. But in reality, patients are often looking for the answers to deeper questions. And by providing this answer, you are really telling the patient that they can't get much information until they commit themselves to sitting in your chair and allowing you to examine them. It's not about rock-bottom prices. So when dozens of potential patients call your office to ask about prices, don't make the mistake of thinking that's what really matters to them. Take a look at most dental advertising you see around you. It focuses on price, and it focuses on the personality and professional accomplishments of the dentist. But the real gap that is taking place is this. The patient wants to ask you if you're a good dentist, but doesn't know how. And if you are like most dentists, you haven't got the right answer to the "Why are you a better dentist than the other dentist who may be closer to my house or cheaper than you?" question. In the absence of either party being able to identify what is a good dentist, how can we expect the public to identify, qualify, or better yet, to pay any price premium over zero for higher quality dental care? Note, if you are confident that you are the lowest priced dentist in town, then maybe you can simply stop reading and start advertising your prices until a competitor undercuts you and prices lower. To understand what consumers want, put yourself in their shoes. While price is an important consideration for most patients, low price isn't the sole deciding factor in choosing a dentist. So what is the critical differentiator that can raise your practice above your competitors? The answer lies in a little soul searching. As a dentist, you are well qualified to answer the question, what makes a good dentist? Your criteria are more sophisticated and your qualifications are more advanced than those of the general public. In fact, you have probably been asked by your patients to help them find a good dentist when they moved away or needed emergency care you couldn't provide. You know what makes a good dentist. However, if you're like many of our clients at New Patients Inc., you may need some help in articulating that knowledge in language that makes sense to ordinary people and that inspires their trust and confidence. This is probably a good place to share a particularly effective script that we have used for hundreds of our clients. It's a script that helps them stay focused on the truly important elements of their practice and a basic message that carries into their marketing message and their patient communications. It is a letter from the dentist to the reader, and it goes something like this. Dear friend, I'm a dentist, but like everyone else, my teeth need regular care to preserve them and make them as attractive as possible. So just like everyone else, I go to the dentist to receive many of the procedures I deliver to my own patients. When I sat down to write goals for my practice, it occurred to me that the kind of dentistry I want to give to my patients was exactly the kind of dentistry I wanted to receive, and I can assure you that I would hold my dentist to some pretty high standards. I would want my dentist to see me as an individual, to know me personally and not merely treat me as a chart number or the next patient. I would want my dentist to foster this relationship by knowing what is important to me and respecting me as a person. And I wouldn't want to be taken for granted, even years into the relationship. Although I am probably as brave as the next person, I'd prefer, naturally, not to experience discomfort during my dental visit. I would want my dentist to have genuine concern for my comfort before, during, and after my treatment. I would want my dentist to have thoroughly mastered pain-free dental techniques. Maybe I'm spoiled, but I get annoyed if I have to do too much waiting. I'd much prefer it if my dentist and staff were ready for me when I arrived, and I would really like it if I were the only patient there, so the doctor and staff could give me their full attention. I'm a stickler for quality. I'm even willing to pay a little more if I am receiving top-of-the-line treatment. These teeth are the only ones I'll ever have, so I wouldn't choose my dentist because his or her fees were the lowest. I would choose a dentist who could provide me with the highest level of care, which is what I feel I deserve. I would appreciate someone who is painstakingly accurate in all the details of my treatment. So what I want as a dental patient is what I hope you want, because the result of this kind of treatment is my true goal, optimal dental health and appearance. If you want this kind of care, I would be happy to be your dentist. Well, you get the idea. It's a simple message, delivered in straightforward language, but it's incredibly effective. And you have that simple but effective message to deliver about your own practice. Think of what you would want to know about a dentist if your family member or close friend in another place was asking for advice. Then, as you explain your idea of what would make a good dentist, you can talk about how that is the dentist you strive to be every day in your practice. How credibility can boost your marketing results. In 21st century American society, people have a resistance to puffery and self-promoting statements. If you put out a statement saying, Dr. John Gentle, the best dentist in the West, not only would it violate your state advertising regulations, but it would also do your practice more damage than good. You can get better mileage by saying that the ideals of a good dentist, which you have defined, are the ideals that you strive towards daily in your practice, and the reasons you became a dentist. The important thing to remember is that you are defining what is a good dentist. This is information that you can share with the public, and it's information they desperately want to hear. The fact is that ordinary people are looking for guidance on how to choose a dentist. It's an important decision, and they know it. Anyone who can help them make an informed choice that they can feel confident about will have their undying gratitude. Here's an example. Despite the fact that the other authors of this book are clearly in the advertising business, we are constantly asked by our friends and acquaintances to recommend a good dentist. Really. Sometimes we wonder, wouldn't they assume we will just refer them to the nearest paying client of ours? But strangely enough, they don't. This is partly because people are so motivated to find a lead on a good dentist that they'll set aside those suspicions. It's also because when we talk about the kind of marketing we do, we inevitably start talking about things that we encourage in our clients, things like continuing education, implementation of technology, and interpersonal skills. People hear these things and think, that sounds like a good dentist, and they sure would like to have a good dentist in their lives. Why the public will take dental advice from a paid actress. The public's need for guidance on choosing a dental care provider can perhaps explain part of the success phenomena of 1-800-DENTIST. While we personally admire the success of this business, and we know that thousands of people have been referred by this service, we've asked the question, why would people call an advertising agency to choose a dentist? Does this puzzle you too? We suspect that the spokesperson they see establishes some kind of believability that the person knows what a good dentist is and will recommend you to this dentist for free. At some level, the audience knows that the spokesperson is an actress and the service is referring only dentists who pay to advertise. But because there is so little clear, straightforward information out there about how to define a good dentist, this service is amazingly as close to genuine, meaningful information as most people can get. If you were to design an advertising campaign for your dental practice centered around helping the dental public ask the right questions in terms of what makes a good dentist, and then answering those questions, you would be more than halfway towards marketing success. You'd be leagues ahead of the vast majority of American dental practices. What do consumers really want in a dentist? We've talked about how you can communicate your own ideas about what makes a good dentist to gain the trust and regard of the average dental consumer. But it's also important to know what's going on in the consumer's mind. What are some of the elements they identify as important? Is it all about price? Is experience the most important factor? Are people more likely to choose a dentist of the same ethnicity? What are those key factors that make someone choose one dentist or one dental practice over another? As dental marketing professionals, these questions are central to our business. And as a dentist with a vested interest in identifying your competitive advantages, they're critical to your business success. We didn't find definitive answers in existing research, so we decided to create and carry out a consumer survey. We surveyed people across a broad range of demographic variables to determine which attributes were most important to them in choosing a dentist. Along the way, we made some surprising discoveries. We'll share the results with you in the second half of this chapter, and we'll show you how you can use the information to create marketing campaigns that truly speak to the needs of dental consumers. What's more important, expertise, low prices, or a fancy office? In designing the survey, we prioritized a list of attributes that our years in dental marketing told us were important to consumers. These attitudes included the following: price, experience of the dentist, ethnicity of the dentist, geographic convenience, how the dentist is known, whether through referral or by advertising, technological adaptation of the dental practice, relevant specialization of the practice, such as family dentist, cosmetic dentist, etc., spa-like office amenities or modern comfort features in the office. Of course, if you asked someone, are these important factors to you, the answer would be yes for every single one. Who wouldn't prefer that their dentist has the most experience of any dentist in town, has an office that looks like it was designed by a top interior designer, is equipped with the most modern technology, is recommended by their best friend, is located right next door, and offers the lowest price in town? Sure, sign us up too. That's why our survey implemented a methodology that allowed respondents to implicitly express the comparative importance they placed on each of these attributes. Using a research methodology called conjoint analysis, we put together bundles of attributes about a hypothetical dental practice and asked the respondents to rank from 1 to 100 how appealing such a dentist might be. A sample bundle would be: Dr. Sample has more than 10 years of experience. You found Dr. Sample during an internet search. Dr. Sample is of your ethnic background. Dr. Sample is not a participating provider with your insurance plan, but his fees are in the lowest quartile of fees charged by area dentists. Dr. Sample is within a 5-minute drive from your office or home. Dr. Sample tends to lag behind other practices in implementing new technologies that might result in more effective or less painful treatment. Dr. Sample will see your entire family, including children. Dr. Sample offers spa-like amenities, such as aromatherapy or paraffin waxing. Reading this snapshot of Dr. Sample, we probably know more about him than most people know about the dentist they are calling. We know he's in the lower fourth of dentists in pricing, information that is not readily available to most people choosing a dentist. We also know he is a technological laggard. He's certainly not everyone's ideal dentist, but he's probably a good snapshot of a real dentist that a patient might actually have as an available choice in their town. While Dr. Sample isn't perfect, he wouldn't be the last dentist on earth that we would choose for our families. Let's say someone gives Dr. Sample a 65. Then we can go to Dr. Sample 2, who might have 6 of the same attributes, 1 worse. He's a 30-minute commute away instead of 5 minutes. And 1 better. He's highly recommended by your coworker instead of being the result of an internet search. If a survey respondent gives Dr. Sample 2 a 68, then we know that person is willing to put up with a longer commute in order to enjoy the comfort of having a dentist who was referred by someone they know. And the distance between 65 and 68 is an indication of how much importance that person places on the attributes in question. In this case, geographic proximity and referral from a trusted friend. In our survey, we prepared 23 different bundles of attributes over our 8 variables. These bundles included high-priced dentists and low-priced dentists, nearby dentists and faraway dentists, technological innovators and technological laggards, dentists referred by trusted friends and dentists only known of through advertising. We also ask respondents for qualifying income, age, and ethnic demographic information, allowing us to assess differences in responses among the young and old, high-income and low-income earners, and among ethnic minorities. We'll get into these differences a bit later. When all the survey results were in, we tabulated them using regression analysis, a methodology that allowed us to clearly identify the varying strengths of each attribute being measured. By developing meaningful survey questions, bundling key attributes through conjoint analysis, and carefully calibrating them using regression analysis, we built a clear picture of the preferences the average consumer indicates when selecting a dental care provider. And here is the resulting attribute list in descending order of strength. Price, 34.7%. Implementation of technology, 18.6%. Geographic convenience, 12.2%. How they know of the dentist or referral, 9.9%. Spa-like amenities, 6.8%. Ethnicity, 6.2%. Years of experience, 5.8%. Suitable specialization like cosmetic or family, 5.8%. These percentages reflect the highest score that we could give for the most desirable attribute and can best be thought of as the percentage makeup of Dr. Ideal. For example, if our sample dentist offered the best available prices, which for the purposes of this survey was defined as being a participating provider for the survey taker's insurance plan, then that doctor would be 34.7% of the way toward being the ideal doctor. If the doctor had the highest score in the implementation of technology, then the doctor was 18.6% on the way to ideal. On the surface, these results supported our initial predictions. We would have guessed that price was the strongest motivator, and sure enough, dentists in the highest quartile of pricing were heavily penalized regardless of what else was going on in the practices. And the low ranking of the bottom of the four categories, amenities, ethnicity, experience, and specialization, tell us that these considerations are far less important than the first four: price, implementation of technology, geographic convenience, and whether they found the dentist by referral, advertising, or website. So let's take a closer look at these four most powerful attributes in the consumer's decision-making process. Powerful attribute number 1, pricing. Consumers are price sensitive, but we included 5 different price variables in our survey: participating provider, dentist who participated in the consumer's health plan; non-participating but in the lowest price quartile; non-participating but in the medium-low quartile; non-participating but in the medium-high quartile; non-participating and in the highest quartile. We would point out that in this survey, the respondents had a clear picture of pricing relative to other dentists that they would not normally have when choosing a dental care provider. But by making this information available in the survey, we were able to pinpoint more accurately the preference for lower pricing and the tolerance for higher pricing among consumers. Here's a snapshot of the survey results on pricing, along with a couple of key demographics. There's a graphic for this on page 23 of the book. And here are the insights we can infer from the numbers. Number 1, price matters. Participation in a person's insurance plan is the preferred pricing structure for all categories of respondents, even for high-income and college-educated persons. This seems to be the mechanism by which respondents can evaluate that they are getting the best pricing. We would point out that of all the demographic classifications in our study, respondents over 65 saw the lowest, albeit still high, value in dentists who participate in insurance plans. This may be because many of the older respondents did not actually have an insurance plan and therefore ranked insurance participation as a lower priority. It's also interesting to note that seniors have the highest price sensitivity to the top quartile of pricing, which means they have a low tolerance for higher priced dental care. Number 2, quality matters too. Just because people value insurance plan participation doesn't mean they put price before quality. For instance, we didn't anticipate that the high-income earners on our survey would value plan participation so highly. We interpret this to mean that their dental plans provide them with a high degree of choice, allowing them to choose a quality dentist within their plan. This theory is supported by the fact that high-income earners are also the most likely people to visit dentists in the highest quartile of pricing. Number 3, some consumers are not as motivated by price. Our survey found that high-income earners and college graduates are far less interested in finding a dentist in the lowest price quartile than their peers. We also discovered that women are much less motivated by price when making a decision about a dental care provider. Women scored 19.5% compared to 23.9% for men on their preference for the low price quartile. In addition, women's tolerance to the highest price quartile is double that of their male counterparts. Since women are the prime decision makers when it comes to the choice of a dentist for the whole family, this is information you can't afford to ignore in your marketing efforts. The key takeaway about price from our surveys is that yes, price matters, but some of your market segments are willing to pay a premium for convenient, high-quality dental care. Powerful attribute number 2, technology, a golden marketing opportunity. The next significant attribute in our survey was the implementation of technology. We tested 3 variables for this attribute: early adopter, mainstream adopter, technological laggard. This helped us understand the level of technological leadership the average consumer was looking for in a dentist. Our survey results were as follows: technology leader, 18.2%. Technological mainstream, 18.6%. Technological laggard, 2.2%. You see, your CAD/CAM isn't just something that makes your job easier. It's technology that helps you create more precise, better-fitting crowns and other dental prosthetics. That's value you can sell to dental consumers, and it may be old news to you, but to your patients, it's something straight out of the pages of Omni magazine or maybe even James Bond. The message here is very clear. People aren't necessarily interested in whether you are the first dentist in town with the latest gizmo or dental technology. However, there is a strong demand for dentists who stay in the technological mainstream, and if they perceive that a practice does not maintain itself within the mainstream of technology, there is a substantial downgrade in the minds of dental consumers for those practices. This is information you can use to hone your advertising communications to prospective patients and especially to existing patients. When your practice implements a new technology, you will see great value in making sure existing patients know about it. It doesn't mean that they will go out and refer 5 new patients because you told them that you implemented a new laser. But newsletters, advertising pieces, or website updates that talk about new technology implemented in the practice reinforce the idea that the practice is at least keeping up with the technological mainstream, if not leading technological implementation. This is very important for your patients to know. They may have become your patient in 1995, however, they certainly want the best dentistry available today, not the best dentistry of 1995. Letting current and prospective patients know that the practice is keeping up with the latest technology can be as important as the benefits of technology itself. We explored the impact of technology on dental consumers' decision-making even further in our survey by examining 6 selected technologies: one-day crowns, mouthpieces that inhibit migraines, one-visit whitening, invisible braces, dental implants, periodontal lasers. After describing each technology, we asked respondents a series of questions. Their responses were pure marketing gold. Take a look at the numbers below, and this graphic can be found on page 25. As you can see, the level of knowledge among consumers about these dental technologies is surprisingly low. Their survey responses reveal the educational opportunity you have in presenting new technologies to your community. Over 3/4 of our survey respondents learned something new when we told them that there was such a thing as one-day crowns, for example. 2/3 of our survey respondents learned something when told about the benefits of periodontal lasers and their ability to arrest gum disease and head off gum surgery. And what really surprised us was the high number, 14 to 15%, of respondents who said they would actually consider switching dentists for one-day crowns or laser periodontal treatment. Of course, these are hypothetical cases. The respondents to these questions may not actually need a crown or be diagnosed with gum disease. But whether you look at the 14 to 15% of the respondents who said they would consider switching dentists for these technologies, or the 24 to 25% who said now that they knew of these technologies, they would consider them important in choosing a new dentist, one thing is clear. If you have these technologies, it is clearly to your advantage to describe their benefits and let people know that you have them. Powerful attribute number 3, geographic proximity. Cast your marketing net a little wider. The next component in our survey was geographic proximity. Since we know that geographic distance is measured in blocks in major metropolitan areas, minutes in suburbia, and miles in rural America, we used the attributes very close, reasonably near, and far in order to describe distance. Our survey results showed that immediate proximity is not as important as you might think. Here are the numbers. Very close, 11.9%. Reasonably near, 12.2%. Far, 4.7%. The difference between very close and reasonably near is not significant. People are willing to commute a reasonable distance, with reasonable being defined by their own measurements of what is near and what is far. in order to visit a dentist. This suggests that as you consider the marketing of your practice, you can spread your message further afield and reach a wider group of potential clients than you might think. This survey finding has particular relevance to decisions you may choose to make about marketing channels with broader geographic distribution, such as radio, television, or larger circulation newspapers. However, keep in mind that you are at a quantifiable disadvantage when you market your services to people who consider your practice to be a far distance. Even more important, our survey findings show that although being far from potential clients is a significant disadvantage, it's not nearly as detrimental as being high-priced or lagging in the implementation of technology. If you believe your practice can compete on these points with practices in a more distant community, you may find success by marketing to these areas. Powerful attribute number 4, referrals. Referrals are not as powerful as you may think. The fourth most significant attribute measured in our survey was the way in which the respondent heard of the practice. In determining the variables to measure, we considered the most common ways in which patients generally hear of a practice: referral by a friend, advertising, or a website search. We discarded overall reputation as a valid testable attribute because it is made up of advertising and general referrals and word of mouth. When developing the survey, we expected consumers to place a high premium on having a practice referred by a trusted friend or family member. However, the results surprised us. Here are the actual figures. Referred by a friend, 9.9%. Advertising, 5.9%. Website, 5.7%. The numbers show us that, contrary to our predictions, people don't place a very high premium on the referrals of their friends and coworkers. Remember, what we're saying here is that if a friend refers your practice to a potential patient, you are 9.9% of being the way to their ideal dentist. Although our survey respondents did demonstrate a preference for a referral, it doesn't count for nearly as much as some of the other factors we studied already. Here's a story that provides some insight into why referrals are a much weaker attribute than most of us think. One of the authors of this book participates in an alumni email community from his school. Participants use the email list to do everything from selling their old vehicles to networking for their next job to finding service providers. Recently, someone had relocated to the city where the school is located and asked the list for their recommendations for a good dentist. Sure enough, this very active alumni list did not fail to deliver, and there were 46 respondents to this request to recommend a dentist. So far, so good. But take a look at some of the more articulate comments accompanying these recommendations. Number 1, Dr. R is excellent. He is located at the corner of. Number 2, I highly recommend Dr. V in. Number 3, Dr. O is an alum. He does cleanings himself, and he's located. Number 4, try Dr. W at the dental spa. Number 5, for the last 15 years, I've been happy with Dr. S, who was referred to me by a coworker. Number 6, I highly recommend Dr. M. Number 7, I've been seeing Dr. V for the last 4 years. She's friendly and professional, as is her staff. Number 8, my father was a dentist, and I think Dr. D is very good. Number 9, Dr. W is the best. Number 10, Dr. H is experienced and a true professional. I still get compliments from her work. Number 11, Dr. R is the nicest guy and has transparent pricing. Number 12, I've always been satisfied with the results of calling 1-800-DENTIST. Number 13, great skills and bedside manner. I can't speak highly enough of Dr. M. And number 14, I have the world's greatest dentist, Dr. P. He's right here in town, and I wouldn't go anywhere else even if I had to pay full price. They're also good about billing your insurance company and all that. Not very illuminating, are they? These referrals are from educated professionals who are truly willing to share their own positive experiences. but do you think they offer enough information for the person asking for a referral to make an informed choice? What do these comments actually tell us about these dentists? Well, we know the geographic locations of these practices. We know that number 4, Dr. W, probably has a nice office. I would guess that number 5, Dr. S, has a bunch of experience, the 7th ranked attribute in our survey. The full names of the dentist, we use initials to protect their privacy, might give you an idea of the ethnicities of some of these dentists, if that matters. And we might conclude that number 14, Dr. P, has an adoring girlfriend. Delving further into the efficacy of these referrals, only 7 out of 46 were accompanied by website URLs, and that includes the 1-800-DENTIST referral. This means that the person who receives the referral has no way of learning anything more about the dentist, the services offered, the facilities, or anything else without picking up the phone and asking, how much does an insert dental procedure here cost? No wonder potential patients rank referrals lower than you might expect. They're virtually useless. Most people who refer a dentist can't articulate what makes them a good choice and can't provide the basic follow-up information needed to allow someone to learn more about the practice and make an informed decision. Note, this is one of the reasons why it's so important to let your current patients know about your website and keep reminding them that it's there. Later in this book, we will be talking about ways for you to do a better job of educating your existing patients about the value of your service, which reinforces their own satisfaction and also helps them to become more effective referrers for your service. But for now, the takeaway is that word of mouth is not the powerful business force you may have thought it was. Slicing and dicing, using survey data to market to specific groups. As you can see, the results of this survey offer you some great insights into the mind of the dental consumer. And even if you've been a dentist for decades, you've probably learned something new about the way your potential patients think and what's important to them. The information also offers some insights into specific patient subgroups, insights that may give you ideas for new ways to market your practice. We fully expect that the results will offer you unique opportunities to use marketing to drill down and target specific age, income, and gender demographics. For instance, let's take a look at ethnicity for a moment. We were very curious about this variable. We allowed respondents to demonstrate a preference for dentists of the same ethnicity or of a different ethnicity. Understanding the nature of a multicultural America, complete with perceived culture and sometimes language barriers, we were curious to know whether having a dentist of the same ethnicity, and presumably one who speaks your preferred language, had much impact. This is the survey data we collected. Dentist is of the same ethnicity, 6.2%. Dentist is of different ethnicity, 2.5%. The data shows a clear preference for a dentist of the same ethnicity, although the overall weight of this variable is insignificant when compared to the influence of more powerful attributes such as price, location, and technology. Women are the most important subgroup. Even the most elementary dental advertising endeavors to target women because they are the primary healthcare decision makers in most families. In fact, women make up 85 to 90% of the dental appointments in America. By isolating the female-only data from our survey, you can hone your marketing efforts to address their preferences. As we mentioned earlier in this chapter, women are less price-sensitive and more concerned with the quality of dental care. So leading with low prices when marketing to this group is not a smart idea. Senior citizens are another important demographic. If you choose to target this market, it is helpful to understand their unique perspective on healthcare. As we pointed out earlier in this chapter, seniors are less insurance dependent for dentistry than any other demographic we tested. They also have the most intensive dental care needs and perhaps the greatest need to be educated about the new treatment options available to them. When advertising to this specific subgroup, you must keep those needs in mind. And remember that your main competition is the patient's expectation of dentistry, not the dental practice down the street. As people age, they may have expectations that they will lose their teeth, and that the role of the dentist is to pull out the troublesome teeth and give them dentures, just like their parents had. They almost certainly don't know about the effects of gum disease or the emerging research that ties gum disease to other serious physical conditions. As well as modifying what you communicate, you need to adjust how you communicate when marketing to seniors. The communication time frame, listening ability, and comprehension of an older person are different than that of your average 35-year-old. They absorb information more slowly, may require more information about new technologies, and appreciate a little extra courtesy and time. Sometimes simply emphasizing that you listen, or making sure that your office staff show a little extra patience on the phone and in the waiting room, can differentiate your practice and drive preference for an older audience. Below are some ways to target some prominent subgroups in your marketing communications. Using these tactics will send a positive message to people in certain demographics, signaling that you understand their needs and welcome their business. Examples including a line like "Se habla español," or whichever foreign language you speak, including symbols such as the wheelchair symbol to denote accessibility, including the equals symbol to show support for the gay community, appealing to environmentally aware patients by putting together a list of ways in which you reduce waste and energy in your practice. This can be anything from showcasing a new digital X-ray machine that doesn't use hazardous chemical developers, to not using amalgam, to saving paper by only using digital charting. This information shows current and potential clients that you're doing what you can to make the community and the planet a better place. When you target specific subgroups, taking the time to craft a message that resonates with them can really pay off, and it doesn't need to take up a lot of time and effort. Recap: what we've learned in this chapter. In this chapter, we've shown you how important it is to step outside your own specialized mindset and learn to think like a dental consumer. You need to put yourself in their shoes and understand what really matters to ordinary people faced with making a decision about who to entrust with their dental care. Your future marketing efforts will be stronger and more effective because you'll be giving people the information they need while inspiring their confidence in your expertise. To summarize, don't talk over their heads. Recognize that they know very little about dentistry and that they need explanations in simple, benefit-based language. Don't compare yourself to your competitors. Consumers don't know who your competitors are and don't have the expertise to differentiate between you. Compare yourself to the consumer's expectations of dentistry. You'll come out ahead every time. Offer them guidance on choosing a good dentist. Consumers are hungry for clear, authoritative information on what a good dentist looks like and where to find one. Help them establish the right criteria and then show them how you fit those criteria to a T. Learn what's truly important to your target market and focus on those areas where you know you offer a strong competitive advantage. Review the exclusive survey data in this chapter to identify the elements of your practice that are truly important to consumers. What's next? Now that you have a clearer understanding of who the average dental consumer is, what they need, and what's important to them, it's time to apply these fundamentals to your own practice. In the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at ways in which we can use these consumer insights to identify the unique competitive advantages that your dental practice offers.